Because of Bitcoin, because of this decentralized, making more and more people decentralized, you can own your asset. You can own the most valuable asset permissionless. But when people got FOMO, I think that also will help. Because why? Because Bitcoin is an absolute scarcity. Then when more and more people learn about it, realize it, and interested, and to keep it, to buy it, to hold it, then demand supply. Economy 101, right? We know the answer. 50% of the problem of the world, right? So money is a key thing because it's related to all people's economy, right? Living, family, corporation. So money is the different. So that's why the revolution from internet, right? The revolution is only for information, not on the money side before. And now we see it's coming. So when Bitcoin reach to certain adoption phase, it will be less and less volatile.
With you, it's really interesting how you got also into Bitcoin and your story. But before we start with all the topics and also with Trump and everything what's going on currently, maybe give viewers a little bit of a background, who you are and why you're in Bitcoin.
Yeah. I've been working in business area for about 25 years. I've been working for major US bank before in Asia. And also I worked for more than 10 years for a major big technology manufacturing company. Also it's a global scale, global size. So, and recent year, I gradually put more focus into, help developing and investing and educating in Bitcoin space, because I think it's once in our lifetime. It's a very, very precious opportunity to get my time and my energy, my all of my resource to focus on this very meaningful journey.
Interesting. I also always find it interesting what Bitcoiners really are, because we are so early in a revolution. And I saw last time a chart where they analyzed who is in our population and then who are the Bitcoiners. And it was like those people who are very common in the population are very rare in the Bitcoin space, and those who are in the general population very rare is actually very common in Bitcoin. So give us a little bit of understanding in what you have done in your life that Bitcoin made so early sense for you.
Yeah, good question. Yeah, indeed, in my age of this kind of, I'm over 50 years old, very rare. Not only, Asia, extremely rare, but also Europe and even US, still relatively, it's a very small percentage as of now. But why make my judgments different than most of other people in my age is because my experience before. I'm the person who very curious on the new technology, the new thing, how to make things more efficient, how to make our life work more efficient, more effective in a more technological way. So my previous career experience, I've been leading strategic investment in a major technology firm. So to invest globally, to look at all the new technology globally. And also I've been in China for the last almost 20 years. So I also seen the growth of China, the economy, everything. So I have this kind of quite unique experience to experience this kind of leading edge of financial innovation. Especially, one more thing is that I've been working for traditional banking industry. I've been working for two largest US bank before, back to 20 years ago. So I also know about banking. I also know about financial service. And also after my experience in the leading technology space, then I found out how old-fashioned of this TradFi work doing. How inefficiency, especially in the current digital age, which led by internet after the last 20 years. So I gradually realized the financial service, the banking system need to be fully get more innovation, get more even revolutionized to make the change. The internet has already changed the information, changed online shopping, changed most many things in our life. However, the banking, the money side has not yet. So that's why when I learned about Bitcoin, when I discovered Bitcoin, I found that's something very fascinating. After I spend my 100 hour, 500 hour, 1,000 hour, dig into the Bitcoin rabbit hole, I found out this is the best opportunity for us to promote it, to embrace it, to educate people worldwide. This is the future. This is the future financial infrastructure for all the people living in the digital age.
Did you understand while being in the banking system, how bad the banking system is already working, or was it kind of with Bitcoin that you understood how the banking system is working?
Let's put regulation aside. But even though, I mean, we are in a good timing today, and there's a new regulation coming, right? We know it's coming. But anyway, let's put regulation aside. Let's compare how inefficiency of when you do a Bitcoin transaction, sending people Bitcoin either through the mainnet or Lightning, even faster. Or, I mean, compared to the traditional financial system, when you send in the bank wire or send in the whatever, international remittance, you know, and also one is working for, 24 hours, 7 days. The other is only working for Monday to Friday, mainly. So this is totally behind of our limit. We use Uber, we use whatever online app to do all the thing, all the service. So I think totally this is behind. But why bring this new technology behind is because this involves with the money. So money is more complicated than only the information, because because always whenever thing is touched about money is highly regulated, right? Because otherwise people will take advantage from other people. So the regulation has not come in place yet for the last 10 years.
And now it's kind of coming with the new administration, yeah?
Yeah. I think this is the new era.
It's interesting how much also changed in the last 10 years. So you said like around 10 years you're in Bitcoin now. I heard stories actually, I think on Monday, where someone told me like he was in Bitcoin in 2014. He came in there and he had to, because I came into 2020, so there were already exchanges, there were a lot of infrastructure already there. But back then, he had to go to basically a local dealer to get Bitcoin, because there was nothing in his area to get Bitcoin otherwise. And it felt almost like a drug deal. And it's kind of interesting how quickly we came from that area to like now there's ETFs and nation states buying. There's like only in Austria, we have 2 different Bitcoin only exchanges. And Austria is so small, like 8 million people. We don't need 2 different Bitcoin only providers than all the crypto and shitcoin casinos that we also have. Like we have come a very far way in quite a small period of time. How do you look at the last year's developments with like ETFs, with all the exchanges, all the regulations that kind of have happened?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. 10 years ago, when I learned about Bitcoin, just like you say, that's those kind of things. It's always, right? It's more like a very small group of even it's hard for you to get it. And even you can say in a legitimate way, even people treat you differently. Some people think, oh, you are doing something maybe unlawful or something. But now it's because this is, I think the adoption phase usually would take something like this from a very individual and cyberpunk, those things, gradually to more institution, corporation, gradually to government, as now, as from today, when Trump just signed the SBR. So I think this is something for the new product, new technology. Usually this is the right path to go. But as I mentioned, since it involves with money, so usually it takes longer. Because it's more complicated. So understand, but I'm the person since with the experience in the banking, in the technology industry before, with a major corporation before. So I see this phenomenon. I mean, it's understandable. However, I think this this is a new chapter to begin. And also, I think this is a really good chance for me to devote my time and my energy and resource into this space by all means.
So you're going actually with all your time and investments now into Bitcoin. When was this shift for you where you completely went, okay, now it's Bitcoin and I kind of leave the past world behind? Or how far along the line are you?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
I'm just wondering of like, you're now more and more covering in Bitcoin, going on podcasts, and things. And you came from the traditional investment world with technology and banking. How far are you already all in Bitcoin with your time and with your energy? I think Jeff Booth is kind of always saying is like he kind of realized he's had invested all his money in Bitcoin, and then at the end of the day he's like, oh, I worked for fiat all day long. Like then he was like, I want to be also with my time in Bitcoin.
I see. I would say since I think between 2015 and 2020, before the COVID hit, that 5 year, that's the I would say is a kind of transition period for my career to get into the Bitcoin. Why? Because as I mentioned earlier, I've been working for a technology company. I've been in charge of investment, and later I also formed a kind of a venture fund to, of course, it's supported by the my major technology company to explore this space, explore this, what we call the fintech, financial technology, including the blockchain. And also, of course, we realized last year, 2015, I realized the Bitcoin thing. Yeah. So because of this 5 year of experience, so we start to think about, this fintech, this is blockchain, this is something could be meaningful to change our financial service model. So then I got into this space, and then we met several very, I believe at that time, 2015, 2016, it's a very prominent investment. We become one of the major investors of a digital currency group. At that time, of course, we own Grayscale and Genesis and CoinDesk. So the founder, CEO, Barry, and I, we become friends, and he shared a lot of industry information with me and also his portfolio. So I start to look at those portfolio company as well to learn about this space, learn about how blockchain, cryptocurrency, and Bitcoin related work for the investment opportunity. Then because of this journey of this 5 year, I think we invest in quite a few blockchain companies, and also we invest in some like a crypto wallet company, and also invest in the company, for example, now is a big one, Galaxy Digital. So I've been a board director of a Galaxy for 3 years, the first 3 years before IPO, and then after the listed in Toronto Stock Exchange. So because of those journey, I've been thinking about how to learn about those crypto and blockchain thing, and also Bitcoin. But gradually after COVID hit, that's a good timing, about half year. Everywhere is shut down. So I have to stay at home. In Asia also, I got several quarantine at hotel before I enter into another country. Then I spent a lot of time, several hundred hours at this to learn about. My question was, why over the last 5 years, since I've been investing in those leading crypto company, including DCG, including Galaxy, why cannot really make business work like the internet, like a Facebook, make people work, Uber make people life easier, something like that. So I've been keep digging to studying. Since we have time, right? At that time, then you have to stay. You cannot travel. Then I realized, indeed, this kind of so-called decentralized blockchain technology only work for money, not for those other things. And also previous year, as I say, even for some company I invest, so doing some blockchain revolution, that kind of thing. Even I brought my company's resource supply chain manufacturing to them to study whether the so-called blockchain can work for supply chain, can work for those, tracking the order, tracking those things, and then indeed none of them work. Still garbage in, garbage out. Still some people control. I like to use this word, garbage in, garbage out. And then, so that's why I'm saying when COVID shut down, then I realized this kind of blockchain technology only work for money, and which is Bitcoin. And from 2021, I start my journey in, I always say at the beginning, maybe 50%, later 2022, 2023, 100%. And then of course, I still keep learning about what the crypto people is doing, just like what the exactly order signed by President Trump earlier today, is like, that's a digital asset. Of course, there's a crypto token, there's NFT, there's a meme coin, whatever. You treat it as a digital token, digitize equity or token or whatever, NFT for souvenir. That's okay. However, only Bitcoin is decentralized. Only Bitcoin can be treated as a people's money, as a people's digital gold, storehold of wealth, right? As a reserve, as a national reserve, not the digital asset. So everything clear. So the signing of executive order today by Trump, I think this proves what we have learned from the early day over the last 10 years is correct.
It's super interesting because there are people like Brian Armstrong who came out publicly said like in a crypto reserve, only Bitcoin makes sense. Like and he is saying like, okay, Bitcoin is the only thing. But at his platform with Coinbase, he has all the meme coins, the altcoins, the shit coins in there, which is for me interesting of like saying the one thing of like only Bitcoin makes sense. But like we also offer the variety of all the meme coins.
Yeah. And this is very interesting question. I've been also thinking about this over the last few months when people talk about SPR, this kind of thing, stockpile or reserve or whatever, then adding up digital asset, adding up people SRP, something like that. But I think what they have been signed today is very briefly, but very precise and accurate. Is that because still those people, not only Brian Armstrong, even Balaji Srinivasan, I knew him for a decade ago. So they also echo with what the EO signed. That's the right way to move, because otherwise, I think as now everyone recognizes Bitcoin is without owner. It's a true decentralized. It could be served as a monetary protocol. No other, what we call no other coin can replace Bitcoin position. However, I think because this kind of, since 10 years ago, more than 10 years ago, this kind of altcoin or Bitcoin imitator, because the people, we gotta think about, we are not living in the utopian world. We are not living in some island without associated with the world. So when people work together or join together, some people want to make money. This is a human nature, right? This is human nature. And since the regulation has not yet been clear, and since there's a technology can help you to create a coin, to get in earlier, and then the VC can also get in to support you, and then other individual, then they also want to make money. I think because this is a human nature. So now the good thing is that now there will be a regulation to regulate this part. Altcoin part, whatever coin, whatever meme coin. Because as I say, this is like treat it as a digital equity, either public or non-public. So clear. And only Bitcoin is totally different species. So that's why a few days ago, I've been tweeting one thing is that because of this coin, Bitcoin, the other people call other coin, so whatever coin, people treat it as a coin, treat it as the same species. And when those guys doing bad on those coins, then they just treat Bitcoin as the same category. But indeed, that was wrong.
Yeah, the separation between like all the other ones and Bitcoin has to be very clear, I think, because like a lot of people think like, oh, like there's Solana, there's Ethereum, and they all put it in one basket.
Yes.
And they hear something bad about Solana, and they also say like, oh, like Bitcoin also is bad because
also like I mentioned, Coinbase and other major exchange, because they list all of the coin, because they say we are all human beings, right? They have to pay their employee salary, right, to make money for shareholder, right? So if only Bitcoin, maybe back to 12 years ago, right, when Coinbase founded, there's only Bitcoin, then maybe it's hard to compete, hard to survive with those other major Chinese found crypto exchange, right? So you have to. So this is the human nature, I think. Anyway, but as I say, I think from today, this executive order sign can make this two category: Bitcoin versus digital asset, other digital asset, clear and separate. I think this is the beginning.
You spoke about that before already of there's a new era coming. What do you mean by that?
Because if you look at the detail of the executive order signed, announced by David Sachs a few hours ago, there's a digital gold. People already treat Bitcoin. Trump administration has already signed and treat Bitcoin as a digital gold. So the Bitcoiner have been advocate for more than 5 years, 10 years, right? So now is the time to come.
Now it's officially, I would like,
officially.
It's digital gold. There's also a lot of people, and I even tweeted myself about that in the morning, that say like, oh, like, it's not that great that actually America is now buying Bitcoin, because we want families, we want the grassroots movement, we want to have the plebs having the possibility to buy as many Bitcoin as possible. They had now 16 years time before the government. But a lot of people say like, oh, like we don't even want the government to buy Bitcoin, because we want the plebs to buy Bitcoin. And if now they're not buying it, they're just having a stockpile. But what if the government is now starting to say like, hey, we buy now every year 200,000 Bitcoin? That would make the price run up for a lot. How do you think about the grassroots movement, and how surprised are you actually that America is the first mover? Like America is like on top of the fiat game. And my theory was always, a country that is down at the fiat game, like El Salvador, those kind of countries, or Bhutan, those will start. But America is very surprising for me that they start with the strategic Bitcoin reserve.
I've been visiting for this purpose. I've been visiting El Salvador a couple of times over the last 2 years. Yeah. So I also try to feel about how this small country, when they did such an initiative for accumulating Bitcoin, even at that time, making Bitcoin the legal tender. Okay. So to see how impact, by it. And now, since the U.S., because the U.S., America is still the number one global economy, even though China is competing, keep going up. Then, however, still U.S. dominate the global financial system, right? Even the hegemony of American, right? And then Trump want to make American great again also. And then at least the influence of the U.S. from U.S. government to worldwide, especially in the financial system related to monetary, right? That's I think should be very huge. So for the announcement of a strategic Bitcoin reserve effective right now, then I think regardless how many Bitcoin US government is going to buy in the next few years. So I think that, let's say, okay, even though they buy 1 million Bitcoin for the next 5 years, even though they also announced they don't want to incur any additional tax burden from individual taxpayer, right? So even though as they target 1 million, so you just think about that's two strategy company, right? So of course there will be several percent of a Bitcoin, but I think before that, whatever amount of a Bitcoin they buy and hold, then I think the more meaningful way immediately is that the impact to other country, to other major country, because since there's a leader, they already announced this, they already doing this, then they will force. Those congressmen will force other country to study, right? The government to study why Bitcoin is important. I mean, I'm talking about major, like a G7 or those major emerging countries like China or other, right? Because this is something we cannot ignore anymore. So I think this, because of this accumulate Bitcoin by more country, and also this will bring the new regulation to make it more clarity, right? So when there are people in those countries want to buy Bitcoin, right? Or the company, corporation, we already have those like a tax clear tax for IFRS already, and also FASB this year. So company can accumulate Bitcoin already. So we'll make all things clear. Then more country, more institution, more corporation, more individual will feel this is a legitimate to all. I think this is the most meaningful part for the executive order signed today.
That's interesting. The global game theory of that, as you just mentioned, of like, now the leader of America, Donald Trump, is now signing an executive order.
Yes.
Which means, it's now confirmed and not just, an election promise that he made, or like he went to the conference, and this is great, but now he actually signed it.
Yes.
Which is a signal to China, to India, to America.
Yes.
I was like, oh, like they're doing that.
Yeah.
So we basically now have the obligation to really investigate that seriously.
Yes.
And if you investigate Bitcoin seriously, I believe, even if you hate Bitcoin, and all it stands for, you have to get some. It's like, if you run in the risk of Bitcoin might catch on and you lose out on that, even if you don't like maybe you're a communist and you're like, hey, I don't like that Bitcoin thing. Even China, even if they like capital controls and all those things, even they should actually say like, oh, like we should not allow it for our citizens, but let's buy some just in case it really catches on.
Not denial. And I mean, even not encourage it for citizen as the money transfer because of the control. However, the country level, right? The central bank level, they can buy, they can own, just like El Salvador, right? So I think this is the more meaningful, because also one thing I want to mention is I've been thinking about this for a while as well. The good government, Bitcoin even will help. We are talking about the country adoption already, like government adoption already, right? Since today. Then, I think it's more meaningful is that what the definition of a good government. Indeed, Bitcoin can help. From the treasury side, from the country reserve side, to make a good government become more outstanding. For example, the last 3 years, the best example is Nayib Bukele in El Salvador, right? Because when one man, he's doing all the things, right? Of course, Bitcoin is just one of his many policy for accumulating Bitcoin. But you see how popular he is, over 90%, right? He always is very lonely to stay at the top, right? Because he's doing all the things, crack down those scams, right? All the things make the country, the small country, so good. As I say, I visit there, right? I experience that. That's true. I can drive a car. I can rent a car. It's no problem. I think 3 times. Safety, no problem at all. So that's why he is so popular. So Bitcoin is just the one thing. So which means you can recognize Bitcoin is the new digital gold, right? It's important, and also it's give people certain sovereignty, right? Good sovereignty. Then government give up, control the money, right? This is otherwise nowadays most government, right? Except those small country, they use the US dollar as their currency, like El Salvador before, and now they want to control the money. They want to control the currency, so it's easier to print, to do whatever. So Bitcoin bring the behavior of a government to be changed in the future. Then this kind of government will become more popular, like Nayib Bukele. So this is if we think about, now the new president, like Nayib Bukele, like other country, even like, for example, I also know her, Maya from Suriname, right? Hopefully she got elected in a few months. Then, it's a young president and with the new mind, right? So with this kind of, totally new mindset, right? And treating Bitcoin as good. I think other thing she or he are doing will be also good. Just like Bukele. So this is important, I think.
Let's take a break for a moment and appreciate the beauty that Coin Vigilante has made with the Bitcoin watches. Those watches are the most amazing, the most elegant way of showing that you are a true Bitcoiner. And Coin Vigilante just dropped a completely new and amazing Genesis edition of their watch collections. You have the date of the first ever mined Bitcoin block in there, and of course also the block height and which epoch we are currently in. I love the level of detail they put in this masterpiece. Make sure to check out those amazing Coin Vigilante timepieces down in the descriptions. I love those watches so much. And now if you have Bitcoin, I really do hope that you don't have it on exchange. But if you do have it on exchange, I have two ways for you to deal with that. The first way is you put it on a hardware wallet. That's the entry for you to get into the self-custody game. I recommend BitBox, Bitcoin only edition for that. It's a super simple and secure way. And if you check out the link in the description, you even get 5% off if you use the code Robin. And the second way is the Bitcoin Way. The Bitcoin Way is your all-in partner in terms of how to get the most out of your sovereignty. They will personalize for you a self-custody setup that is perfect for your individual situation. They will show you how you can secure your own devices. Securing your Bitcoin is not enough. You also have to keep all your devices secure. One topic that is overlooked often is the inheritance plan. What happens with your Bitcoin once you are no longer here? Do you have a plan for that in place already? And last but not least, if you're in the jurisdictions where you don't feel safe, it's better to get a plan B. For all that, head over to thebitcoinway.com/Robin to get a 30-minute free call. And just a quick side note, I will be for the first time ever speaking at the Bitcoin Prague event in June. It will be absolutely legendary and I'm really looking forward to seeing all of you there. You can get your ticket in the link down in the description of Bitcoin Prague, and very important, use code Robin to get 10% off your ticket. I'm really looking forward to seeing you there.
There are two really interesting things, Nanja. Maybe the first one, what do you think is the impact of adopting Bitcoin for countries? Will it long-term make government smaller? Or like, what do you think if we spin that a little bit further and Bitcoin is becoming more and more popular and more and bigger? This probably means also that fiat currencies and other assets getting smaller because it has exactly. What do you think does that mean for governments?
Okay, good question too. I think government can spend more focus on two things. One is doing the good thing, then get more popular, like President Bukele. And second thing is the government can focus its energy on doing something by recognition of a Bitcoin exists in their country, even though not legal tender yet. But at least this is the base, just like a gold before, 100 years ago or more than, right? You can focus on doing other things after adopting the Bitcoin standard, or at least put Bitcoin as a reserve. So there's many other things government can do, right? So, I mean, just a little bit different definition on the monetary side.
Yeah, it's almost like on your personal side, because let's say you're a doctor, but to preserve your financial energy, you have to be a portfolio manager also, like you have to pick stocks, you have to find the right ETFs and stuff like that. But now we have Bitcoin. You can be a doctor, just save your money in Bitcoin.
And focus on your technical thing. You're professional.
You can focus again on savings lives versus running a portfolio.
Yeah. Very good analogy. Yes. Exactly. I think this applies to all other industry and also government too.
And also because you did investing on such a high level, and I was actually let's call it a stock pro before. And that's why I like your head, because I was a big Tesla investor.
Yes.
I really like the company.
Yes.
Still do.
I drove his car for 11 years. Even in China.
Now, no more. Like still.
This is my sixth Tesla.
Oh, 6 Tesla. Wow.
Yeah, I have two. One in China, one in Taiwan.
What did you all try all of them till now?
All of it is that Model 3.
Model 3 never.
No, because I got Model Y. And I have a Model S in China early day, because at that time, 2014, only Model S. And also I have a Model X in US before. A couple of years, I spent a lot of time there.
It's funny because I only have Model 3.
Oh, it's good. It's good car. It's definitely a good car.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but always buy the new model, right? I mean, when like a Model Y, I will encourage you to buy always like a technology product, like an iPhone, right? You want to buy the new one.
Oh, I have, I don't know if I ever have it, but I always have the old one.
No, it's okay. I know what I'm saying is that when you wanna change, when you want to upgrade, yeah. I also use the last model too, but I get tired of doing all the app configuration. So I think I can use every iPhone for 2 years, but then I always buy the new one. No, I just.
I was actually also like that, where I always had the newest iPhone actually. Mm-hmm. But last year, since I started the company, since I now, and maybe this changes again if the company is more successful, but I just started the company and I looked actually at every single small thing that I have in my life. Mm-hmm. And more than Bitcoin, having my own company and being responsible for all my income and all my expenses made me realize, okay, what do I really need? And I was like, okay, my phone, like I don't need it for recording. I have a camera, so I don't need the best camera. Yeah. And I downgraded from an iPhone, I think 13 or 14 Pro Max, like literally the biggest ones, to an iPhone 11.
Okay, I see.
Because I was like, I don't need
different energy. And also, I think I understand what you're saying. I mean, agree. And also, put more saving in Bitcoin.
Exactly.
That's also Bitcoin. We don't change in Bitcoin, but Bitcoin changes us.
It definitely, like Bitcoin changed me in that regard. But I think having my own company actually changed me even more. But maybe this changed.
Yeah. No, definitely. You are in the right move. Everything. Yeah. That's why when you invite me, I'm happy to come to be interviewed by you.
Yeah, really. We met in El Salvador, I think.
First adopting
Bitcoin.
Yeah.
But maybe back on the topic of game theory, even though I might want to go a little bit to Tesla later. When we have now America making the moves, I think EU, we can kind of summarize, they want to regulate it more, but they don't want to touch it in any meaningful way. At least that's how I look at it. How do you look at all the Asia regions of like China, maybe like India and all those big players that have like huge resources, huge, like so many people there? Are they currently treating Bitcoin, and how do you think they will treat it in the future?
Okay. Let me comment on, even though I don't understand too much on India, but let me comment briefly on India. Later I talk more on China, which I've been more familiar with. I think India will try to look at and also maybe possibly do whatever US want to do, because, the China and India, the relationship is not good. In recent years, I think India try to get more close with the US, even though I don't know whether Trump like him or not. But anyway, I think we can see what interesting move India will do. But because it's also large country. Back to China. I think China, as I say, I've been there almost 20 years. I moved from Taiwan to live in China. I live in major cities, Shenzhen, Beijing, Shanghai. Okay. Then I see the change of China over the last 2 decades. So I think it is evidence what I've been believe in early day. I think China government very smart. Very smart. Whatever they've been doing. That's why can make now it's a really big threat to US already. Indeed. I mean, a lot of things is already over. It's already surpassed US already. That's why Trump want to do those tariff things, too. So it's a different era now. So I would say, again, China government top officials are quite smart. Even though maybe they make some mistake a few years ago when banned the mining, when banned because we understand the capital control. Of course, it's a capital control for country like China. However, I think the top official is quite wise, and even though they start to study in their mind, maybe Bitcoin and crypto, digital asset, that kind of thing, they haven't differentiated yet, right? But they've been restudying over the last few months since Trump got elected. I would say, that's something I can share for this part. So I believe based on, as I say, the top official, they are always, for example, let me give you another example, not related to Bitcoin, to crypto. Tesla. When Tesla signed a deal with the Shanghai government, I think back to 2017 or 18, Tesla became the first wholly owned subsidiary of auto manufacturing in China. Before, the last 30 years is 50-50, like Volkswagen, right? BMW, always Toyota, 50-50. That's me. But Tesla became the first one because that's an EV. Then China government want to embrace EV. So they signed this deal specifically for Tesla only. And you see, now I think 60% of the worldwide manufacturing of Tesla 2024 is from China, from that Shanghai Gigafactory. And also, not only this help promote all the supply chain of the EV automobile component for China. Now, I believe why Tesla can sell lower price in China versus other US or German, Berlin factory made is because the lower cost of supply chain, which is local made. I think 90 or 95% made by local. And then this also help bring up the very strong supply chain of China EV industry. And now it's not only, I think China EV sale, the new car sale, EV is already over 50% last year. The original goal is 2020, 33, 35, but now it's achieved 2024, 11 years earlier. And not only this, but also it export. Maybe you don't feel that much in Europe. However, if you go to Latin America, if you go to other countries, other emerging countries, Chinese car, Chinese EV is everywhere. Yeah, you can look at the data. So, this is such a wise move. It's a win-win. It's a win-win for Tesla, for China government, for the China industry. So you see, recent year, China economy was not good because of the house market bubble, the real estate bubble still under the correction. However, the economy is even fully supported by this kind of export in the hardware, in the automobile, in the drone, in the robot, that kind of thing. So I use this example. Maybe I talk a little bit far. However, I think back to the financial and monetary. I think they are studying. I don't know. I'm just from my judgment, right? But I know they are holding some meeting, and then that would be something they can do without violate their other policy like a capital control. So accumulate Bitcoin, just like of course, now you can see from the last 2 years after the Ukraine war, the Russia-Ukraine war, they accumulate gold, right? They love gold, which is the physical and also it's a centralized control. It's good, right? So I don't think there's no reason to add some Bitcoin as a part of the gold reserve after US is moving forward. So that's my answer. I think when China doing that, of course, the other small countries in Asia will.
I also like the digital gold narrative because I think it's really one that people can understand easily, and they're like, oh, okay, gold, I get. And I think it's way harder to sell Bitcoin currently as a currency.
Yeah.
Of like, Bitcoin will replace the euro. Then you're like, scaling issues, like, where can I use it? It's like 16 years in the making and then still cannot use it. So I feel like digital gold is an easier narrative for Bitcoin to win.
Yeah, if I believe you and I, we read Bitcoin Standard, right? If we understand how the money come from, right? It's always come from, first is as a store of value, right? Until maybe someday, some year later, most people in the world recognize Bitcoin is one of the I think it should be the best, no second best. Store of value. Then gradually it will become medium exchange, right? Maybe some countries think, oh, we don't want to use the US dollar as our default currency anymore. Then maybe we use the Bitcoin as a Lightning, or maybe there's another, even improve Lightning, for example, other technology. Then gradually, then maybe there's a new system to come. So from store of value to media exchange and finally become UDF account. So we don't know how long it takes, maybe several decades, but given now we are in the digital age, usually the thing change is faster than before.
Yeah, I had this great chart, and maybe I can put it in the post-production for the people to see, but it basically showed the adoption rate of like electricity, the adoption rate of the car, and things like that.
Yes.
And then you see the adoption rate of like the internet and smartphones, and then and all those things, like they go way faster. But then it's also like that would be the one thing of like, okay, Bitcoin will go way faster than we expect. But then one thing that I also am wondering, Bitcoin is also money, so there's a real opportunity cost. If you adopt, I don't know, like Facebook or like something on your phone, there's not a real opportunity cost for the phone. You just like get a new device.
Yeah, more efficient.
Yeah, exactly. And for money, you have to basically sell your assets, your currency, your ETFs or whatever, and move it to Bitcoin. So there's a real opportunity cost. So the network effect of money, I think, is way stronger than for new app.
I think it's as I say earlier, because it's more sophisticated, more complicated, because it involves money. Especially money costs, I think it's a Seyr say, 50% of the problem of the world, right? So money is a key thing because it's related to all people's economy, right? Living, family, corporation. So money is the difference. So that's why the revolution of from internet, right? The revolution is only for information, not on the money side before. And now we see it's coming. It's more sophisticated, more complicated. However, you also mentioned the digital age may be faster. So I think this both will offset. Let's see how, but still I believe it should be faster than electricity, faster than car. Maybe at least as fast as the internet, I think that's good enough, like 20 to 30 years.
Yeah. And there's this great picture also of New York City in 1900 and in 1913. And the first picture shows all horse carriages, like 1-2 cars on the street. Yes. And then 13 years later, it's like there's still horses on the street, but mostly cars. So I'm also wondering, we probably hit one point an adoption rate curve where we look back the past 5-10 years and like, we all kind of use Bitcoin now. There's still some fear. Like even today, if you go in Vienna, actually, in the middle of the city, I don't know if also on weekdays, but on Sundays for sure, there's horse carriages.
I saw one on the way here.
Oh, great. Yeah. So horse carriages are still here, like 100 years later, like 100.
It's more like a culture or for entertainment, that kind of thing.
Exactly, but the car is dominant.
Okay.
And maybe that's also with money. What I'm looking at is like Bitcoin will be dominant in maybe 10, 20 years, but there will still be maybe China has their own version of a digital currency. Then the US will have like the CBDCs, like maybe
or whatever stable coin. It is the same.
Whatever they do. Do you look at that kind of future, or at some point Bitcoin will just completely override?
I think we can watch on one very important matrix. Yeah, as I mentioned, I worked for a bank before 20 years ago. Yeah, I think the banking adoption, since now the money, all the money related bank is the major vehicle, right? To come from central bank and also for those whatever the capital ratio, reserve ratio, and also the global remittance bank, right? Commercial bank still the major force. So let's see how because even though Trump signed the SBR, then we cannot ignore those banks, right? So bank is still dominate maybe, I think 90%, over 90% of the global financial system, commercial bank. Okay. So let's see how the commercial bank work for the next few years. I believe very likely, I believe US also already started. I think it will go faster from today. Is the custody of a Bitcoin by bank. Okay. This will be the first most likely move for, because indeed you own Bitcoin, you don't need a bank, right? The bank. However, the global financial system is dominated by bank. So that's why we have to accommodate, you have to combine, right? We are not I'm the Bitcoiner, I'm the prep, right? So, okay, let's face the reality. So bank regulation for bank to custody Bitcoin. For not only people like us, we have our own private key, but for many other maybe less sophisticated people, and also for corporation and for institution, right? Institution or corporation, they cannot trust on one single person, say, CFO on all the private key, all the institution investor. Who are they gonna trust? They gonna trust someone they trust already, which is bank or related, right? So I think bank, indeed, that's the major function of a bank, commercial bank for Bitcoin era. Otherwise, what are they going to do, right? So bank custody Bitcoin with the clear regulation, and gradually they can send Bitcoin, help their clients send Bitcoin globally, right? Other country, like say China or Hong Kong or Singapore, they also accept it. Then I think this network effect will kick in. And then the adoption speed will accelerate.
Yeah, the banks are, I think, one of the major trigger points to make that the catalyst exactly there to make that possible, because people still most people have a bank account, even me.
Also, you trust bank.
Exactly, you trust bank, and I'm also thinking of maybe my generation is different, and they're let's download that wallet and stuff like that. But when I think about my grandma, for example, or my granddad, he's turning 80 this year. He will not do self custody and doing the wallets. He is a bank and his main bank. But if the main bank representative says you could do some Bitcoin diversification, it's a new thing, and he I heard my grandson talking about that. Yeah, let's do 5%.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of those trigger points where sometimes we are too close to into this. Oh, how is Bitcoinization shaping up? But we need the financial space.
Yes. That's what I'm saying. My experience working for traditional financial banking before and technology company. That's how I can have I think I more stronger believe this should be the way to go. And also you think about when majority of a bank they adopt it, you feel is not only let's think about I think Seyr always like to use the number 900 trillion as of today, the global asset, right? Bitcoin only say 2 trillion right for now. So 99% over. Still, I think majority of asset is owned by traditional financial institution, or maybe custody by traditional financial institution.
Yeah.
So they have to adopt it. Then that can accelerate the adoption of a Bitcoin for most of the people who own the 900 trillion asset.
Yeah, it's super interesting, this 900 trillion, because I like Jesse Meyer's models that Seyr also references a lot. There's 900 trillion, and now let's figure out how much can Bitcoin capture of that. Yeah. And there's maybe 10, 20%, maybe 50%, because Bitcoin is money, so 50% of everything should be, maybe even higher than that, because maybe Bitcoin can capture a lot of real estate, a lot of bonds and all those things. How do you look at those 900 trillions? And I mean, it's impossible to put a date on that. But from a vision perspective, what can Bitcoin accomplish in there?
Two metrics I thought about when you asking this. One is the digitalized versus the physical. For example, real estate, the house is a physical. For example, China, the last 30 years, before the recent house market bubble, no one thought about house price will go down. Even I argue with some friend, then we You know, I say in Taiwan, Hong Kong, in US, I saw the market gone down. They say, no, how you buy coin is, now they realize, right? So the physical, because house is a physical store of value for Chinese people before the last 30 years. So you see how fast the shift from physical to digital. That's the one parameter. And, I think, I'm sorry, what other question again?
I just like, we have this 900 trillion.
Yes.
Now Bitcoin is 2 trillion.
Yes.
Like what do you, as an investor, you always look at the total addressable market for something. Yeah. What is the total addressable market for Bitcoin?
Yeah. As I say, that the first is how fast people realize that digital is better than physical.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other, I think, will impact the speed of adoption is that the regulation and also the infrastructure. For example, as I said, those regulation and also those custody, easier for people to custody and feel safe, for trustee, and also for the generation wealth, etc. I mean, and also, of course, the return, the historical return will also impact people. You know, this is the investor's dilemma. Always, I won't say dilemma. It's a kind of a phenomenon. When you see the asset price go up, then always you chase on that asset. Just like you see on Twitter, on X, right? Say, oh, when Bitcoin is 80K, then very few people waiting on that. When Bitcoin is 200K, always many people. But because of this indeed, I like this kind of graph, which means it's the formal. However, if applied to other assets, even any other equity, I'm not only house, but also even like Nvidia, right? Over 3.5 trillion, and now it's back to 2.8. Maybe it's further down, right? For example, you know, because that's the centralized entity company. But when people got formal, I think that also will help. Because why? Because Bitcoin is an absolute scarcity. That's the difference. Never before.
And
so you see, there's several parameters.
And it's also super interesting when we look at real estate, because especially in Austria, I don't know how it's in other countries, but I guess similar, it's really used as their savings vehicle. It's traditional, like, oh, there's a family, they buy the house, they have like a mortgage on that, they have a credit line. So like for 20 years, 30 years, 15 years, whatever the years is, they try to pay it off, and they actually see the house as their kind of retirement and savings vehicle. And a lot of Austrians, colleagues, even like from the Nordic world, they say to me like, oh, like you have that Bitcoin stack. Why don't you put something in the house, or like use it as for initial payment for a house? So like that mindset is really in there. Yeah. But once that switches, this will put a lot of capital in Bitcoin, which will then make housing affordable again. And I think that's something we don't talk often enough about.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So that's why, your point remind me the other parameter is that the wealth control by what kind of people. For example, if the 900 trillion asset today is controlled by younger generation, even like you, right? Let's say 30, 40 live in the internet age, then that would be different. That would be much faster. However, this kind of you see, generation by generation, right? Still older money, like Warren Buffett, those, right? They still control a lot of assets. So, this generation shift, the speed. However, I think because of when Bitcoin price keep going up, and even other crypto price, right? Let's say the new regulation come in, some good project, they become very legit to own with some use case, let's say. Then more and more younger generation own Bitcoin, own crypto asset, then maybe more wealthy, right? Just like Elon Musk, he built Tesla, right? The new EV, and he become the richest man in the world. Same thing. Michael Saylor own Bitcoin, and somebody own Bitcoin, he become the richest guy in the world. Same thing, right? More and more crypto people, that what called the billionaire flip, something like that. Then this will also accessory. And then when those physical traditional asset getting less than less value than today, then I think this shift will, maybe we'll see. Maybe I think will be 10 years.
Do you think Michael Saylor has the chance of being the richest man alive?
Of course. I believe. I keep saying that for over 1 year to friends. I hope he keep healthy. He keep, that's something. I mean, he demonstrate.
Yeah,
right. This is the way. And also, he already told people, right? When he died, then the Bitcoin is gonna donate, right? It's gonna be gone. Then it's a charity. That's really something.
Did he say that he give it just away with throwing away the
destroy the private key?
Oh,
yeah. He said that several times. I'm sure.
Yeah. Really cool.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't know that actually. Really cool.
In one interview.
That's the biggest charity that someone can make to humanity, right?
Yeah. So he's doing the right. He's really echo what Satoshi's spirit.
Like Satoshi also most likely did with the first million Bitcoin. I don't think he has access to it, even if he is alive and stuff like that.
Yeah, indeed. The one thing, remind me, some people also mentioned about, even today, mentioned about when 1930s, when the executive order to ban gold, people own gold. They say, since the US government is only Bitcoin, I mean, don't forget the privacy of an individual, something like that. I'm not sure. I think most likely the government, Trump or the next president, won't do such a thing as what they did in 1933 or 34. Yeah. I think because it's a totally different era. Right? We are already, as I mentioned, right? It's like a Nayib Bukele case, right? If the government doing a good thing, then it will become more popular. The country will get stronger, right? I think this is the only one threat. When U.S. government own more Bitcoin, when Coinbase, when other institutions, BlackRock own more Bitcoin through ETF or whatever, then, that's a centralized, then government can.
Yeah. The one thing I'm looking at with that is we now have the internet and we now have verifiable blockchain. So if they do something, they might come along. Like FTX basically did it. Like they had, what was it, 2-3 Bitcoin in their reserves and just giving out hundreds and thousands of Bitcoins to users. So basically they were fractionally reserving for their own users.
Yeah.
So yes, BlackRock could also do it. Coinbase could also do it. But I think it's only a short term. Like it could only be maybe a few years where they could do it. At some point, dynamics will come like FTX, especially with the internet, where you cannot suppress anything. If you only have newspapers and the 2 TV channels, it's easier.
Yeah, it's a different. Yeah, you mentioned a good point. Yeah, now the Twitter, right, X, right, internet is everywhere immediately. Right. So it's a different. So I think the government or the future government won't do that. What I'm saying, the point is that whether government will seize your Bitcoin. Say, you give me Bitcoin, I give you certain US dollar, something like that, like what happened 90 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, I hope and I don't think that will happen. Actually.
Yeah, I don't think. I think if we rule out those kind of risk, then everything is clear.
Is there anything else in risk-wise that you're looking at for Bitcoin?
People always time to time talk about the quantum computing thing, but I don't think so. I've been checked with, I'm not an expert in technology side, but I checked with a very good expert friends. I think it's this wrong. At that time when quantum is really be prevailing, Bitcoin network also getting much more stronger and secure. And also back to the incentive side, right? Since it's the good thing to own, why are you going to destroy it? Why are you going to, right? The richest man in the world, I will do the 51%. I don't think it's most likely. Also, again, right? Because of Bitcoin, because of this decentralized, making more and more people decentralized, you can own your asset. You can own the most valuable asset permissionless. So I think will be less centralized. So therefore the 51% over attack will be less unlikely. Yeah, you see, but now today we say, before we keep talking about government ban, right? Now today it's clear, US, and now we talk about the technology risk. We talk about whether government will do something on you. That's it, right?
And you will probably relate to that a lot. I think new technologies always have to prove itself.
Yes.
Like nobody questions the banking accounts quantum proving.
Yes.
It's like nobody questions Amazon's quantum.
Yes.
But Bitcoin has to prove itself and gets all those hard questions. But I think that's always natural with new technologies that come. They have to prove that they are 100x better and have no flaws.
Yeah. I think it should be okay. I've been keep thinking about this issue too, this risk issue. Yeah. Now I think the major risk because of the new Trump administration is already clear.
One more thing maybe with you saw the internet adoption, and you lived through that, .com bubble, you lived through all those things. Do you see parallels to how Bitcoin is now kind of growing up and coming up to how TCP/IP and the internet came up?
Yeah, very similar. I think we already touched upon those bank custody regulation and more people adoption. And also we have been seeing through the 2017 ICO bubble, 2018 bubble, right? And also 2021, the DeFi bubble, busted by FTS, by those Luna, Terra, those things. And also we see last year until recently, the meme coin bubble, something like that. So you see all those phases, and Bitcoin, of course, is still volatile together with, because people treat Bitcoin the same as those coins, as I mentioned earlier, because it's only been exchanged at those unregulated yet crypto exchange, right? In the future, they will get regulated. Coinbase, of course, is okay. Yeah. So because of this kind of thing, make those phenomena, Bitcoin is, the price is volatile in tandem with those altcoins up and down. And also those altcoin, pump and dump guys, they also do a lot of things on Bitcoin to leverage those future contract, so make the price volatile. But this is also the right path to the adoption, right? More still volatile on the way, maybe to, for example, 1 million or several million a coin, then it will gradually be more stabilized. Just like think about those blue chip stock. Before the blue chip equity, usually it won't be as volatile as a Tesla or as a Nvidia, right? So when Bitcoin reach to certain adoption phase, it will be less volatile. So I think we already go through the several cycle of the bubble, especially together with those altcoin. And now we have more regulation clarity. Bitcoin is Bitcoin. The other crypto is a digital asset. Then I believe still versus the US dollar price versus the fiat price, still maybe some people say maybe when Bitcoin 500,000 and crash to 300K. In a few days, possible, right? So still, this is still because some people want to make shorter money. Some people maybe have some fiat needs to buy house, to do whatever thing. So still buy and sell. So this is very normal in a new asset class for adoption.
Yeah, this meme of Bitcoin went up to 100,000, now it crashed down to 80,000. How bad? And it was at 20K just a few years ago.
Yeah. But I think I would suggest to look at the other chart. Some people will post on X, is that how many coin, let's say now is less than 20 million Bitcoin being mined, right? 90 point something. Then how many coin stay in the exchange self-custody versus in other form? I think that's very meaningful. So you see the exchange, the coin at the exchange is keep going down. And more people own the Bitcoin to their own wallet, to their self-custody or similar.
Do you think the supply shock meme come at some point where there's so less Bitcoin, where we see a house?
Yeah. Gradually then suddenly.
Yeah, gradually then suddenly. I think Samson Mao always said that
1 million
Omega candle.
Yeah. That's always a very good to call. But I think regardless, I would say it's path independent, but the goal is the same. Yeah, this is the good word. Not dependent. It's a path independent, regardless. Yeah, 1 day or 1 year, or I think it's, yeah, because I think one thing we gotta be sure, we are sitting here, I mean, we are believers, is that the absolute scarce, fixed supply of 31 million, that's the most important part. For the whole Bitcoin, all the ecosystem we've been talking about. Because you cannot print more, you cannot issue more. Then when more and more people learn about it, realize it, and interesting, and to keep it, to buy it, to hold it, then demand supply, economy 101, right? We know the answer.
That's really, really cool. As I mentioned before, Tesla is also interesting. You probably also are very, looking at that company, especially because there's an intersection with Bitcoin. They are still the only, as I understand it, they're still the only S&P 500 company that holds Bitcoin, which is, people like to hate on Elon Musk because he went on Dogecoin and all those things. But, anytime I listen to him talk, I feel like, oh, he's a Bitcoiner. Like he
knew Bitcoin is a better preserved value than fiat, which get print so much. Yeah, he knew. He talked about that when they announced that quarterly result. They on those Bitcoin the first time. Yeah, he knew. He talked about that. I remember. I listened to what he said.
Yeah, and I listened to the last podcast he did with Rogan that just came out like 3-4 days ago, or maybe a week ago. And he mentioned all the Bitcoiners things like, oh, social security is a scam, like all those Bitcoiner talking points. And I'm like, he's so close to Bitcoiner, but, for some reason he's, not talking about Bitcoin.
I mean, he is quite smart. I've been trying to see, even though you see these few days, he didn't tweet anything related to the strategic Bitcoin reserve. I guess 2 reasons. One is that because he has many things to do as a Doge, right? The current Doge, right? And, just like I mentioned President Bukele, Bitcoin is just a small part, one part. I won't say small part. It's one part of what he is busy for every day.
Yeah.
So it's the same for a businessman like Elon or the Doge leader helping Trump. I think they have many things to do. And the second point is that because this always, as I said, when you talk about or associate with the money, this is always sensitive. But as I say, he already said that he understands Bitcoin could be the better reserve value than US dollar a few years ago. So I think he knew about that. And also, of course, he is not that expertise, but particularly on the Bitcoin, this kind of network. So for these 3 reasons, I don't think, he will emphasize too much. And also now Trump has the David Sachs, right? As the crypto Caesar. So I think everything, announcement or whatever he says, I think that each person take care of a different thing. But I agree. He understands. He's smart. Bitcoin is the best. I mean, it's one of the best for him to keep the value.
Really cool. I asked one question to each and every one of my guests, and the question is, what can we learn from you besides Bitcoin?
Good question. I mean, I didn't know you were asking this. Always, as I say, embrace the new thinking. Of course, technology is always dominant in every generation. So always think about what will be the new form of living, right? Even for ourselves. Because we know that's the right way, then the business will thrive as well, right? So, for example, in recent year, AI, right? Keep talking about AI, ChatGPT. Now China comes with the DeepSeek. So you see, this too is a thing very interesting. Not only the AI company compete each other, and also, I won't say compete, but anyway, it's kind of a compete. Also country, China and US. Yeah, these two largest economy in the world. It's also kind of will compete something like that. Yeah, so always think about what will be the right way to do things, and also appreciate the value, right? What will be the most valuable thing to devote your time, your resource to do. And that's why, I mean, I mentioned again briefly with Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is my number one. But of course, as I say, I spend other time. You see, I look around different country. I meet different people. It can make me think differently, and also keep in the, at least not behind what the world brings us. Yeah.
And that's a big thing. I learned so much, and my head expanded a lot last year because I spoke with over 400 different
you're so diligent.
And I also move around a lot now with the conference and stuff like that.
Yes.
We have an androgen in the podcast where the previous guest is asking a question for the next guest without knowing who the next guest is. I unfortunately just realized we kind of already had that question in, but he asked you of like, what is the biggest risk to Bitcoin? We kind of already touched on that. Just for the viewers to know, I didn't forget about the androgen.
Okay.
But maybe before we end the podcast, where can people find you, ask you questions, and reach out to you?
Yeah, just my ex, Jack Lee, PV. I keep saying PV is a premium voice because I cannot get Jack Lee. I cannot get Jack. Of course, a real big Jack. Jack Lee, JACKLEE, PV.
So you're the premium Jack.
Yeah. Premium.
Thank you so much for being on the podcast. Also, thank you so much for everyone that is watching and listening, for joining us today. As always, I'll be back tomorrow with another episode. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.